We need to have a conversation about the national debt, how that debt is issued, and whose debt that is. Going back to the founders, Alexander Hamilton in 1790 wrote, "The debt of the United States was the price of liberty. The faith of America has been repeatedly pledged for it. The public credit must be maintained inviolate." Title 31 U.S. Code 3101, Public Debt Limit. Bonds, notes, and other obligations issued under this chapter are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. That is a government that we teach our children when they're growing up, that the Constitution defines as a government of, by, and for the people. The creditworthiness that the United States has is the creditworthiness of the United States itself, which includes the people. Whether through your action or inaction, the government that we send to represent us and take on debt on our behalf are actually issuing credit that we have given them because they are our government. That debt is like a loan. So let me give you an imaginary scenario. If I went out today and I opened a bank and I told all of my loan writers, go out and write loans. But as soon as you write those loans, as soon as the ink is dry, I want you to let someone else collect the interest on that loan. And I, as the bank, want to get pennies on the dollar. That is the exact same scenario by which our government issues debt and lets someone else collect the interest, while we are left with the scraps and we're getting pennies on the dollar. Our framers didn't give us capitalism. They didn't give us communism or socialism or any other ism. Our framers gave us America. Through the Constitution, in their writings, they made it clear that they are not perfect. Humans are not perfect. But they gave us the best system that they could because it is a living, breathing document. Next year, for our 250th birthday, we need to get back to our roots, and we need to take that debt back for ourselves. In the United States, we have a $38 trillion debt. Over $10 trillion of that is held by banking institutions within the United States, and a lot of that is backed by our deposits. The bank will purchase those treasuries, earn the 4% that we're paying them with our taxes, and give us 0.5% on a good day in our checking account. That is them collecting on our loan. We are allowing banks through that debt to collect $500 billion each year in transfer fees and in that spread of interest on our debt. $500 million a year we allow them to take from our debt. How can we change that? I think we can use systems that are already in place, including postal banking, which we used to have in this country from 1911 to 1967. And we've recently rolled out postal banking that exists today. So we've got 31,000 post offices across the country in every area, way more than the number of local branches of banks that we have. Now everyone has access to a bank. We've already proven through the Treasury-Direct system that any citizen can go and open a Treasury-Direct account. When they deposit money, that money is used to purchase treasuries, and they earn that interest directly. And the last piece is the federal EBT card. We already have the ability as the United States government to issue a card that can be used at almost any location. By putting all of these pieces together, we can, one, allow all American deposits to earn interest because they are backed by the very treasuries that the banks are using to own our debt. That alone will claw back several $100 billion. Second, the use of the EBT cards. The Durbin Amendment already allows us to cap transaction fees at 0.5% plus 21 cents per transaction. That money is captured by banks, but they still have swipe fees upwards of 3 to 4% on credit cards. And critically, They also have swipe fees for prepaid cards, which millions of Americans utilize because they are either unbanked because of geographical reasons or financial reasons. So we're overburdening the poor with those swipe fees. Third would be ATM fees. $7 to $8 billion disappears in ATM fees, mostly affecting the poor. Someone who's rich who goes to the ATM and they're pulling out a few $100s, $3 isn't that big a deal. But someone who wants to go to the bank and take out $20 so that they can give it to their kids so they can buy their school lunch still pays that same $3. That's a larger percentage from a poorer person. We can eliminate ATM fees with this program. Existing programs that are already in place. And finally, we can take back the full faith and credit of the United States as our own, because it is our credit. I've written an entire bill. I've been trying to make changes to it to make it as rock solid as possible, to make sure that there are no arguments that could possibly be brought against us, so that we can make everyone happy, so that we can have true Americanism. And the banks will be fine. The banks are in the business of making money. Now, instead of being able to take free money by buying our debt, they will be enticed to lend into our communities, into our businesses that we believe in. That is the American dream. That is the promise that we were given when we were given the Constitution by our framers. And now it's possible because all of the tools are in place. My full bill is available on my website. As I said, I'm still trying to make changes to it. Feel free to review it. If you have any feedback, please let me know. But we need to stand up and say that this debt is ours. It's not an asset on a bank's ledger. It's an American asset, and we need to treat it that way. Have a great day.